record. Hey, this is regular class Tuesday, May 12th. A couple things for you. This is our last real Zoom day thing. Tomorrow we have a test, and then Thursday we're going to start doing other things, which are not like our normal stuff, which I'll be talking about here in a moment. Also, for those of you who were paying attention last week, turns out I did not have strep. I thought I had strep. Turns out I had something that I thought was worse than strep, which I still currently have. I don't know if you guys know what a canker sore is, but a canker sore is whenever you get like a sore on the inside of your lip. There's like a little white spot, and like you bite into it and it hurts, or it's going to end up looking like if you drink soda and it burns, it's really awful. I had a canker sore, which I've had before, but my canker sore was on my uvula. If you don't know what your uvula is, it's the little dangly thing that's in the back of your throat. So I have a canker sore on my uvula, which is absolutely awful. If you want to horrify yourself right now, you can button over and Google canker sore on uvula, and then find whichever one has the biggest picture of one, and that's what mine is. Mine is like the size of my pinky nail, and it's on my uvula. Like the whole bottom of it is white. So then every time I drank anything or swallowed or ate stuff or breathed or sneezed or anything, it was a shooting pain in my throat. And no medicine can help it because it's a canker sore. I just have to wait like a week to 2 weeks, which means I can only have soup for like 2 weeks. I had to stop drinking soda, which is awful because I love Mountain Dew and it's delicious. So it's made things really, really rough. Plus, I didn't find out until after I had B-dubs, and apparently hot sauce is not good for it because it felt like I was eating murder hornets, which was all kinds of awful. But anyway, I'm on my way to being better slowly. I have learned. So now we're going to get into this whole learning thing from there. All right, so there, go clicky, and I get to tell you guys what's coming up and why things are changing. The stuff we have for you. Do this thing, and go click. And there and to here. Such a struggle every time. There we go. Yay! All right. Mountain Dew doesn't give you ADHD. Having ADHD gives you ADHD. To there. Mountain Dew just gives you a bottle of deliciousness. Anyway, back to here. So Skyward is updated. If you are missing a thing, just have to let me know. So if you go on to Skyward and you see a 0 and you think that you've turned in a thing, just send me an email. I get so many late assignments coming in that sometimes I miss them when I put them in my grade book to actually entering them. And if you did it, I absolutely want to give you credit. Just let me know. And then from there also, let's go with all of my past quizzes are still open because I have kids who have still not taken like the mythology test or the first Outsiders quiz. All of those are still open to you, and you're more than welcome to go back and do them. Those Socratives stay open. Only the daily Socrative question closes. All of the actual ones are the ones that actually end up giving you the whole anyway from that. You're almost school update. I have an update for school here in the morning, and I'll be talking about how that's going to be affecting you guys coming up. You're almost done with schoolwork, at least for me. I don't know how your other classes are doing it, but for me, your last real big grade is going to be tomorrow. And then after that, we have a few last grades we're going to finish, but not a whole lot. Today, I'm not reading to you. I'm talking about the end of the book. So you had to read chapters 11 and 12 on your own or use the things on the websites for the audiobooks. But I am not reading out loud. I just want to talk and answer questions and stuff like that. Hang on, go clicky and go clicky. School info I have for you. They are talking about having you guys do a school iPad drop-off next Friday. So not this Friday, but next Friday or next Thursday, the 21st is going to be the last day for you guys. And the next Friday is going to be, they're going to have you guys come by school and drop off your school iPad. So if you have a school iPad, they're not letting you come into the school, so you can't go to your locker, you can't go inside the building. You're just going to pull up, hand them your iPad, they're going to take it from you, then you pull away and then leave. So that's what they're looking at for next Friday, just so you are aware. Beyond that, any locker access, you will not be allowed into the school until July. At the very earliest is when you get a chance to come into the building. So anything you've left in there, you just cannot get until that point. Unless, and here's a small change for you, If you want me to get into your locker, I believe I can. Coming up on, I think later this week, beginning of next week, there is a day that teachers get to get in. And if you have a thing in your locker you want me to grab and you send me a message, then I'm more than happy to do that. And so I will send out a reminder to you to let you know, let me know if you want me to get a thing, and I'm happy to do that for you. The other bad news is no school activities can happen over the summer until July, which means no, like for those of you who want to do the run club, for me, that's not going to happen. No summer sports, no summer schools, no summer anything can happen until July. Maybe once July happens, then we get a chance to do it, but not until then. And that's beyond my control. And it's just they've locked everything out from there. All right. Aside from your guys' shocked and angry faces, I'm assuming we have no major questions from there. Not much I can do about it. I'll let you guys know as far as like me getting into lockers or something like that to try and help you out. Here's where you're going to do that whole screenshot thing. Here is your last big Socrative that you're going to want to do. It is going to be room name novel Q, Novel-Q for novel question. Here is what your final one is going to be. Now that we are done, here is the question. What did you think of Outsiders? Was Outsiders a book worth reading, or was it a complete waste of your time? All I want is your opinion on the book. Did you like it, or did you not like it? Now realize, don't judge it because of e-learning. I know you guys hate e-learning. I've gotten tons of messages about that. Don't blame Outsiders for that, because I mean, you've had to read Outsiders during e-learning, so I know like in your brain they're going to be connected, but the actual story is more what I'm concerned about. And realize I have to teach a book. It's required. It's one of those things where each year they tell me that like you have to teach a book, so pick one. So if you hate Outsiders, tell me why you hate Outsiders, and so that can help guide me towards a different one. So knowing that I have to have a book, is this one that's worth reading? Did you find it interesting? Stuff like that. That's what I'm looking for. Anyway, just your opinion on that one. So hopefully that helps you out. Did you like the story, not like the story, stuff like that. All right. You're going to want to finish the Outsiders book before tomorrow, if you can, because we have the test tomorrow. It is going to be a 35 question test. It's going to have, I think, 7 fill in the blank or short answer ones, and then the rest are going to be multiple choice, matching, and stuff like that. Very similar to the one you guys did with the Greek mythology. So I set up very similar to that to try and help you guys out on that one. You have until next Monday to finish it. You're more than welcome to use the book on it. And then all that stuff is fine with me, but just giving you guys a heads up. So that's what we're going to do tomorrow. It'll be a very short Socrative tomorrow, just going on, answering questions, telling you guys how to get on and stuff like that. Beyond it, I don't plan on babbling too much unless you have questions for me. Thursday, though, here's where things are going to change. So if you are unaware, I do things a little bit differently at the end of the year. What I do at the end of the year is I tell stories for the last couple of days about my life. And that stories are going to begin this coming Thursday. So the stories I choose to tell you is I'm going to tell you 3 stories, one on Thursday, one next Tuesday, one next Wednesday, that are about my life and things that shaped me. If you are unaware, because you don't have older siblings or you don't have older friends who've told you, I've been arrested in my life. I've been arrested more than once in my life. I've been arrested 3 times in my life. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you guys a story about each one of the times I've been arrested and how that shaped me and made me who I am. And so you're going to have to join on to the story to find out. But to make it even more fun, here's information for you. I will tell you the ages at which I got arrested. Thursday's story is my first arrest when I was 8 years old. My second time I got arrested was when I was 14 years old and I was a freshman in high school. And my last time I got arrested was when I was 18 years old and I was a freshman in college. Those are the 3 times I've been arrested. So those are the 3 stories I'm going to tell you coming up about how those happened and how they shaped me. But also, I am combining you and my advanced class together because I'm only telling the story one time. So it is going to be a big group of kids, you guys and my advanced all together. And so I'm going to be opening that up. It's going to start at 10:30 coming up on Thursday. So Thursday is going to be a 10:30 start time to get everyone in time and stuff like that. So Kaylee, is that your way of letting me know that you have big people sitting there right there who have heard all that information? Kaylee, I was lying. It was all make-believe. I did not know there were adults in the room. I have no idea. She's crazy. No, I tell the same story, so it's going to be the same thing. I own the fact that I've made poor choices in my life, and I want you guys to learn from my poor choices, so I don't hide that fact. But yeah, so it's going to be a big group of kids, and I'm going to go through and tell you guys that story. It's an earlier start time, so you guys will make sure you jump in. I will record it and post it in case you miss it and stuff like that. So hopefully that helps you a wee bit.
Was my birth a poor choice?
Yes, but that's not one of the stories we're going to get into. Okay. And then the last story, because the fourth day I'm going to do is going to be next Thursday, and that is not a story of my poor choices. It is a Brovi talk, and it's my last day where I get to give you advice, opinions, how to live life. And it's sort of like my last time to sort of pass information along to you. When you've heard kids, or if you have heard kids talk about my end of the year talks, next Thursday is the one they're referring to. That is like the big talk day. The stories are entertaining, but it's next Thursday is the one that has the most meaning to it. One moment. Grayson, what's up?
So how long do you think each Zoom will be?
Typically I can tell the story in, it should be less than an hour, because I can usually get them in a class period. And so unless things go too crazy, it should be class period length. So I'm guessing it'll be, once I get a chance to start telling it, about 45 minutes.
Okay.
So unless I get distracted, but that's my aim. I should be able to get it in 45 minutes. All right. So now you guys have an idea. On those days, I don't know if I'll be doing Socratives on those days or not. I'll have to decide. I might do extra credit Socratives. I might just not do Socratives. We'll figure that out as it gets closer. Today is your Socrative, definitely for a grade. Tomorrow's the test. Beyond that, I've not decided grade-wise for the end of them. As far as Sand Creek having summer school, it could be, but it's going to be e-learning summer school. It's not where you get to go into the building. So they might be doing, Sand Creek might have some form of e-learning summer school, but I can guarantee you they don't have anything that involves you interacting with the teacher. Elijah, I tried to unmute you, but it didn't work.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So do we have just this week and then next week and we're done with school?
Correct. Next Thursday is your last day. You have 6 days of school left, including today. 5 days after today. Yeah. Which is makes me sad. Yeah, I feel.
Mr. Broviak, I won't be able to see you after the 21st.
I might still do some kind of thing where we can get together because I still want to see people. So I'll figure out what I can do. No, my child, you are not enough. No one loves you. Go back to your closet. No, whatever. All right, and then to there. All right. So again, any of the past e-learnings, you're more than welcome to do. I have not closed any e-learnings for my entire year. You can still go back and do all of them, going back to like that very first Greek mythology one. Because you might not know this, but I've got like 6 kids who have not turned in a single thing since the beginning of March. Like they literally have a 0% in my class. And so my goal is that I leave things open for them in case they still want to go turn stuff in. And so if you have anything you're missing, go turn it in. And then you just have to email me and let me know and I can look for it. So any grade you have, you can still get credit for it. All right, now to actual learning stuff and do talky things and stuff like that. I'm assuming today may not be a super long meeting, depending on if you guys have questions, because I'm not going to go back and read over stuff. I just want to talk about the end of it, explain things, answer some questions and stuff like that. Hang on, I have an Ethan joining. I want to make sure that it's an actual Ethan and not a fake Ethan. So hang on. Let me find Ethan coming in. Nice. Ethan, I'll need to see your face to make sure it's you. And all right, now you can go back to hiding, Ethan. Thank you, Ethan. All right, and then we're good to go there. To there. All right. And so again, if you guys are wanting a picture of this screen to help you, you are more than welcome to use this tomorrow on the quiz. I will also put it up one more time tomorrow in case you want to screenshot it before the test. But it's my way of trying to help you. Hopefully it makes it easier to, especially on the dairy dally thing. My goal is to make that a little bit easier for you guys to figure out between those two. All right. For those of you who missed my conversation last week or have not gotten to it, when Dally Winston dies, so just to make sure that you're fully clear on his death, after Johnny dies and Dally takes it hard, Dally takes off and then goes and robs the grocery store and then calls his friends and is like, hey, come meet me. I just robbed a grocery store. And they come and meet him in the empty lot. It's in the middle of the night. He runs into the middle of the empty lot, stops underneath the big street lamp, pulls out his heater, his pew-pew gun, waits for the cops to show up, and then pretends to shoot the cops. They pretend to shoot him, but their pretending is better than his pretending because their pretending involves actual bullets, and then he ends up getting shot and killed. That is how Dally dies. And then right after that is when Ponyboy freaks out and then passes out and then goes into the hospital. We find out that basically Dally was committing suicide because he could not handle all of the depression of the fact that Johnny died. Hang on, I have John Anthony joining. I have to make sure it's a real John Anthony and not a fake John Anthony. Hey, that is a real John Anthony. Okay, so now John Anthony is in, so we're good to go there. So that's how the whole Dally died thing. Other information for you. So normally this is where I would like to have a conversation with you and we get to like talk back and forth, but we can't really do that on here. So I'm just going to talk at you, which will make it go a little bit faster, but also a lot more boring. What happens to Ponyboy right after Dally dies? That's when he passes out. He hits the ground, and the fact that his brain shuts down. He said last week I went through all those different things that happened to him. The fact that this whole story happened within 7 days, and the fact that his brain just shuts down and can't handle it anymore. And he ends up going to the hospital. The sickness that hits him for a week when he goes to the hospital and then is laying at home is a couple different things. One, concussion. Concussions are a real thing. For those of you who have ever had a concussion or had a sibling have a concussion, I know someone, when you get kicked in the head hard, it's like the whole, when you see kids in the school wearing sunglasses and not being able to be around bright lights and stuff like that, concussions are real and they are awful, and they will knock you out. And so that's what happened to him, and he got a really bad concussion. On top of that, he's got depression, not lowercase d, I'm a teenager going through angst depression, but like capital D, I just watched my friends die depression, which is also a really real thing. And he's also just kind of messed up with life and stuff like that. Okay, a slightly confusing scene. Randy shows up and he and Ponyboy have this conversation when they go back and forth. And this is not at the Tasty Freeze. This is at Ponyboy's house. And they're going through there and Randy's like, hey, it's okay. You understand that, when your friend killed my best friend, we're going to forgive you. And so we're going to go to the court for you. And Ponyboy starts claiming, hey, Johnny didn't kill Bob. I killed Bob. And Randy goes, what? No, you didn't. And Ponyboy goes, yes, I killed. And they get into this weird argument where Ponyboy keeps trying to declare that he killed Bob. And if you read the book, it gets real confusing when you're like, what happened? He didn't kill. Because of the concussion, Ponyboy being depressed, he does not want his best friend to be dead. He wants Johnny to be alive. But if Johnny is alive, that means Johnny is a murderer. So Ponyboy decides that the best way to solve this problem is to sort of redo logic. And so he says, Johnny is alive, Bob is dead. But if Bob is dead and Johnny is not the murderer, there's only one other person who can be the murderer, and that's Ponyboy. So Ponyboy convinces himself that he killed Bob, which is a pretty bad place to be in life. If you have to find your happy place is that you're a murderer. If your life is so bad that you're like, oh, I wish my life was happier. I wish I was a murderer. That's where Ponyboy is. His life would be better if he had been a murderer, but instead he's not, and he's depressed. So it just goes back to how messed up he is, that whole teen angst thing. Did this with the Ponyboy's confusion. Again, I wish I could talk to you guys. Ponyboy goes to court, and he gets real confused when he goes to court because he thinks he's going to court for the murder of Bob. That's not why he's going to court. If you had trouble figuring it out, it's not because of court, it's because they're trying to figure out if he and Soda Pop get to stay with Derry. So basically, it's the whole, do you get to stay with your brother because you got picked up by the police and hung out the murderer kind of thing. So it's like a custody hearing. And so when he goes to court, he keeps telling the judge, hey, this whole murder thing, it's okay. And they're like, well, what about your brother? And he's like, oh, my brother's great. I love Derry. But let's talk about the murder. And the judge is like, I don't care about the murder. Let's talk about your family. And so that's why he keeps going back and forth. He thinks he's on trial for murder, and he's not. They're just trying to figure out if Derry's a good caretaker. And it turns out Derry's a good caretaker because Derry did what he could. It was just the socials were a whole bunch of jerks and were really mean to him and stuff like that. And so that's why it becomes that whole issue with that one. Yep. Ponyboy, because of that whole capital D depression thing, starts not hanging out with people and starts dropping out of school and not doing homework and stuff like that. And so basically gets kicked off the track team, and his teacher comes and is like, hey, you're going to fail my class. And they start having all of these issues with him and his friends because he's depressed. And the fact that he watched 2 humans die right in front of him. Apparently that tends to mess up a kid or anybody. So he had a really tough time with that one. So his English teacher talks to him and says, hey, I'd like to help you, but you've not turned in this major assignment. How about you turn in this assignment and I'll at least let you pass? And the assignment was a theme, which is basically old speak for an essay. You have to write an essay about something, an event in your life that was important to you. So write about an event that was important to you. And he tries to figure out what event he can write that is important to him. Ooh, real quick, there is a scene I want to read right before his English teacher thing. It's on page 171. It's when he confronts Socias at a thing. All right, real quick reading thing. This is when he's hanging out with, I believe it's 2-Bit, and Socias come up and confront them. I was sitting on the fender of Steve's car, smoking and drinking a Pepsi, while he and 2-Bit were inside talking to some girls, when a car drove up and 3 Socias got out. I just sat there and looked at them and took another swallow of the Pepsi. I wasn't scared. It was the oddest feeling in the world. I didn't feel anything, scared, mad, or anything, just zero. You're the guy that killed Bob Sheldon, one of them said. He was a friend of ours. We don't like nobody killing our friends, especially greasers. Big deal. I busted the end off my bottle and held on to the neck and tossed away my cigarette. You get back into your car or you'll get split. They looked kind of surprised and one of them backed up. I mean it. I hopped off the car. I've had about all I can take from you guys. I started toward them, holding the bottle the way Tim Shepard holds a switchblade, out and away from myself in a loose but firm hold. I guess they knew I meant business because they got into their cars and drove off. You really would have used that bottle, wouldn't you? 2-Bit had been watching from the store doorway. Steve and me were backing you, but I guess you didn't need to. You really have cut them up, huh? I guess so, I said with a sigh. I didn't see what 2-Bit was sweating about. Anyone else could have done the same thing, and 2-Bit wouldn't have thought about it twice, which is a huge change from the beginning of the book when he's walking back from the movie theater with Cherry, and 2-Bit smashes the bottle and hands it to him, and he's like, I could never use this. He's like, I would never cut somebody. And now, after his friends died and all this stuff happened, he's like, oh, heck yeah. He's like, I'd slice them up. He's like, I don't care about killing people. So the fact that we see Ponyboy has changed, he's become this really hard guy. But then this happens. Ponyboy, listen, don't get tough. You're not like the rest of us. Don't try to be. What's the matter with 2-Bit? I knew as well as he did that if you get tough, you don't get hurt. You get smart and nothing can touch you. What in the world are you doing? 2-Bit's voice broke into my thoughts. I looked up at him. I'm picking up all the glass. He stared at me for a second, then grinned. You little son of a gun, he said in a relieved voice. I didn't know what he was talking about, so I just went on picking up the glass from the bottle end and put it in the trash can. I just didn't want him to get a flat tire. So even when Ponyboy tries to be a hard guy, he smashes a bottle, threatens to cut the Socias and kill them, and then turns around and is like, well, I mean, I don't want you to get a flat tire. That'd be bad. And starts picking up all the little pieces of glass. So even when Ponyboy tries to be a thug, he can't, because deep down, Ponyboy's a good person. And so I like that scene. It shows that even though he's trying to become hard like Dally, in his heart, he can't. It's just not who he is. So Ponyboy's broken, but there's still good inside of him. Then there's a fight between Soda and Derry and Pony. Ooh, I forgot about this one. No, I don't have my book, so I can't find it easily. So I'm going to have to refer back to the scene. If you remember Soda Pop, his girlfriend Sandy, and he and Sandy were really good friends and stuff like that. And we talk about that. And then when Ponyboy comes back from the church and they're all hanging out, they have a scene where he says, "Hey, are you going to go hang out with Sandy?" And Soda Pop goes, "No, she went to go live with her grandma. She had to leave." And Ponyboy was like, "Why did she have to go leave with her grandma?" And then Steve gets real mad and is like, "She had to leave or they had to get married." I'm assuming you guys don't know what that's a reference to, because that's not a thing from nowadays. That if a girl and a boy made a poor choice, she either had to get married to him or she had to go and move away and live with family for 9 months. There's a reason why she had to leave and go away for 9 months, because Sandy and Soda Pop were friendly and she got pregnant. And so that becomes that issue where her parents like, you're either going to get married or you're going to leave to go have the baby. And so that became a thing at the time period. So that's where we find out that apparently Soda was upset about this whole Sandy thing and stuff like that. All right. And then we get page 178, Johnny's final letter to Ponyboy. And then we almost get to the very end, page 178. This is where he gets that book, the Gone with the Wind, that Johnny was reading when he was in the, what do you call the place, hospital. And he opens it up and he finds there's a letter on the inside. And this is the final letter that we get from Johnny. A slip of paper fell out of the book onto the floor, and I picked it up. This is from Johnny. Ponyboy, I asked the nurse to give you this book so you could finish it. It was Johnny's handwriting. I went on reading, almost hearing Johnny's quiet voice. The doctor came in a while ago, but I knew anyway. I keep getting tireder and tireder. Listen, I don't mind dying now. It's worth it. It's worth saving those kids. Their lives are worth more than mine. They have more to live for. Some of their parents came by to thank me, and I know it was worth it. Tell Dally it's worth it. I'm just going to miss you guys. I've been thinking about it. And that poem, that guy that wrote it, he meant you're gold when you're a kid, like green. When you're a kid, everything's new, like the dawn. It's just when you get used to everything that it's daytime. Like the way you dig sunsets, Pony, that's gold. Keep being that way. It's a good way to be. I want you to tell Dally to look at one. He'll probably think you're crazy, but will you ask for me? I don't think he's ever seen a sunset. And don't be so bugged over being a greaser. You still have a lot of time to make yourself be what you want. There's still lots of good in the world. Tell Dally? I don't think he knows it. Your buddy, Johnny. So that was Johnny trying to reach out to Dally and be nice to him, be like, hey, don't give up on life. But we find out that apparently that's already happened and he's already given up on life and stuff like that. So at the very end, Ponyboy, back to here, ends up writing his essay, which is the very end of the book. I'm going to read to you. 1 second. Find the end. There we go. Nope, still not the end. There we go. At the very end, he ends up writing his essay for his teacher, and he has to find the thing that's super important to him. So this is what he ends up writing about. Mr. Syme, his English teacher, this is Ponyboy. That essay, how long is it supposed to be? It can't be any less than 5 pages. He sounded a little surprised. I had forgotten it was late at night when I contacted him. But can it be longer? Well, certainly, Ponyboy. It can be as long as you want it. Thanks, I said, and I hung up. I sat down and picked up my pen and thought for a minute, remembering a handsome dark boy with a reckless grin and a hot temper, a tough tow-headed boy with a cigarette in his mouth and a bitter grin on his hard face, remembering, and this time it didn't hurt, a quiet, defeated-looking 16-year-old whose hair needed cutting badly and who had black eyes with a frightened expression to them. 1 week had taken all 3 of them, and I decided I could tell people, beginning with my English teacher. I wondered for a long time how to start that essay, how to start writing about something that was important to me. And I finally began like this. When I stepped out into the bright sunlight from the darkness of the movie house, I had only 2 things on my mind, Paul Newman and a ride home. Hopefully you remember my mentioning of Paul Newman, because we mentioned Paul Newman at the very beginning of the book. Because if you begin and turn all the way to the first page, page 1 of the book, chapter 1 says, When I stepped out into the bright sunlight from the darkness of the movie house, I had only two things in my mind, Paul Newman and a ride. So what is it that Ponyboy decides to write for his essay about the thing that's important to him? The book Outsiders. That's his essay. That's what he decides to write to try and teach people about the thing that was important to him was his friends and their death. So he ends up writing the entire Outsiders book. Now, the question that usually pops up is the book true? Yes and no. No, it is not a completely true story. The author, S.E. Hinton, was a girl. But it is true in the fact that she actually wrote the book when she was 16 years old. S.E. Hinton, Susan Hinton, wrote this book when she was in high school because she got tired of her teachers giving what she called crap books. And so she basically got into a fight with her English teacher and said, you keep making me read these horrible books. I'm tired of reading them. And he goes, well, Miss Hinton, if you think you can write a better book, why don't you write a book? So she did. So she wrote The Outsiders. And so she wrote it about her friends. And she put herself into the book. In the book, the author is Cherry Valance, the cheerleader, because she was friends with these group of kids that she said were greasers and these group of kids that were socias, and they kept getting into fights at school, and it kept getting worse and worse. And she kept telling her friends, eventually one of you is going to die, and they wouldn't listen to her. So she wrote a book where one of her friends died to try to get them to stop fighting. And it worked. When the book came out, her friends stopped fighting, and it ended up making like this big change in where they were. And so technically it's not true, but it's based on a lot of true things that happened. It was her writing about her actual friends. So that's The Outsiders. These are questions I would normally get to go through. We get to have a discussion out loud. We don't really get to have a discussion out loud. It's the saddest of it being e-learning. So there are so many things I'd like to talk about that we just don't get to talk about. This screen for you one last time in case you're wanting to take a picture of it for you. And then also one last time, this one. And then that's pretty much it. As far as the book goes, that's all I really have for you. We've now talked about it. I mean, any other discussions I have for you would be in person. And obviously that's not going to happen, as sad as that's going to be. So tomorrow I'll answer any final questions you have for you. And then after that, it goes to me telling you guys stories and stuff like that. So I'm going to take it off this screen and jump back to me. Hang on to here. Pearls, I see your hand. 1 second. And go to this thing and this guy and then to here and Pearls. So for those of you who are bored of me, that was all I had. That's all the new information I have for you. Everything else is just me answering questions and going through and talking to kids and stuff like that. Tomorrow we have the test. I'll be more than happy to answer questions if you guys have them, but I think that's it. Pearls, what did you want to yell at me for today?
I have 4 questions.
Wow, I'm impressed. Go for it.
So the first one is the book report. You said that there was going to be like a specific amount of book reports for the year.
Yeah, we did them all.
We did?
Yeah. We did 3 book reports
Okay.
and then 1 book I read out loud to you. That's 4 book reports.
Oh, okay. And then
Did you want me to give you another book report? Were you feeling sad and you're like, did you want me to come look up your address and come to your house and make you do a book report? Pearls, I can yell at you if that's what you want.
I like doing book reports, but also the Camp T refund. My mom sent an email, but we're so confused. They sent me an email of a girl named Fairy Heather.
You get me? That is all beyond me. That all goes through Mrs. Passwater at the school. So your mom just has to contact her.
Yeah, she did. And then they sent her someone named Fairy Heather.
She seems like a lovely lady.
And then also a stomach update. I get an ultrasound on May 20th, another one.
So is
my
it
stomach
doing better?
No, I just they gave me 2 weeks of medication for gastritis, and it actually made me feel pretty good. And then I stopped drinking and I feel disgusting all over again.
So are you not drinking the tea anymore?
Oh no, I drink the tea daily now, but it just doesn't work anymore.
I'm sorry. So have you had an airhead bite in like 2 months?
It's been 11 weeks.
Wow. That's such withdrawal. I'm sorry, kid. That's awful.
Yeah. Okay. Bye.
4th question. All right, so we're good to go then. All right. Pachoop. And pachoop. Elijah, I tried to unmute you so you can say goodbye to me.
I did. Bye, Mr. Broviak.
Bye, Elijah. Miss you, kiddo.
Miss you too.
Branson, what's up? I tried to unmute you, Branson. There you go.
There we
Branson.
go. Hi.
Hey, nice sweatshirt, by the way.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Also, I wanted to say that last night I actually managed to find the Outsiders movie with like the extra 22 minutes of something.
Apparently on Amazon Prime. I had kids send that to me.
Yeah, that's what I got it off of.
Nice.
And
yeah.
I had both my mom and my dad watch it. My mom was completely clueless as to what was happening compared to my dad, who's read the book and watched the movie.
So if you watched the long version is good, isn't it? It's a lot like the actual.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you want to really entertain yourself, watch the other version and you'll get angered. It'll trigger you how much they change and like cut stuff and things like that. But the
I
full
probably
version is
will
much
get
better.
angry.
So I'm glad you watched it. How entertaining.
I like the book more, though, honestly.
Yeah, that's probably because you're a good person. It's all good. Jackson, what's up?
Coot dog.
It is. I've been watching it right there in front of me the whole time. Is that a
And
boxer?
also, you jealous.
Is your dog a boxer?
Yeah.
I thought so. That's what it looked like. Nice. So, Maggie, are you currently on Roku trying to find the Outsiders? I thought so. I can see it in the background behind you. I was like, that's what it looks like you're trying to do. It was entertaining me. Yeah. It's the Outsiders full novel version is what you're trying to look for. Mohammed, I tried to unmute you, but it wouldn't let me. All right. Well, moving on from there then. And Jackson again. I see your dog skirting the screen. And apparently Marin had a question, but she ditched me and ooped out. So no, I can't call on her.
Doug.
Yes, that's a wonderful dog. He's got a great mustache. Mohammed, did you want to try again?
Hey, Mr. Broviak, what you doing?
All right. All right. And then thank you, Leah, for entertaining me with your dancing. I've been watching you and Chanel dance back and forth the entire time. It was only mildly distracting as I was trying to teach on occasion. But it's all good. Watching Maggie put on makeup for the entire time was also fun. It looks like she's getting close to getting there. And we have our loot llama. And then, wait, Braden, didn't you just get done making eggs a second ago? And now you're eating. Nicely done. So good, happy breakfast to you on that one then. How delicious. All right. Bye, Marin. Sorry you already left. I can't get to say bye to you. Let's go with, I'll see you guys tomorrow for the shorter one, and then we have the test, and then Thursdays where things definitely get entertaining at that point. All right. Check you later. Toot toot.